Okay, everybody, I'm back with another video. Surprise, surprise. And as you can tell from the title, this one is Calzona themed because I don't know how to let go. The last one I did were my top 13 all-time favorites. Yeah, I did that months ago. So now this is like other multi-chapter Calzona stories. What is that? That is nothing. Sorry. This is other multi-chapter Calzona stories that I like or love, but did not make the top cut, you know. And then there are some one-shots and shorter stories that I also really love, and I might do another video on those. We'll see what happens. This is going to be in 2 parts because there are a lot. There aren't even I didn't even include all of the ones that I like, just some of them. But it still has to be in 2 parts because there are so many. There's so many. So I have no idea why I'm so nervous. Not nervous, just hesitant currently. I don't know. I'm just gonna go into it now. Okay, so these are in mostly alphabetical order. The first one is called Adapting the Dream. And this one is written by the same author who wrote Rewriting the Ending, which I never finished because I don't know why. I really liked it, but it just it was stressful. But okay, so Adapting the Dream is a story about Calzona trying to have a baby after Sophia via Callie, but they keep having miscarriages. It's very sad. So then Arizona is like, I'll have it. And then immediately after is like, oh no, never mind, I don't want this. Never mind, I take it back. But then she's like, but then her and Callie, they talk, and Callie's like, you don't have to do this. It's totally fine. And Arizona's like, okay, then I really don't want to. But then she does it anyway, and it's awful. The whole pregnancy is just terrible, but it's worth it, I guess. Read the story, it's really good. The Calzona dynamic in it is A+. And Teddy's in that story, I think. Yes, Teddy is in that story. Okay, the next one is called Along for the Ride, and this is by the same author who... the lighting is really getting on my absolute nerves. I'm just gonna see if this is terrible, but it's better than the... No. Okay. Let me just... Well, nothing will help. Nothing is helping. Nothing is helping. Sorry that this is part of the video, but I'm probably not going to edit it out because that's not who I am. I don't know how to edit, so sorry for anyone who cares. So, okay, Along for the Ride is the same author who wrote The Best Laid Plans, and this story is an alternate universe story where Callie and Arizona are in med school, and they go on a road trip together because they both need to get from Baltimore to California. And Arizona was originally going to go on this road trip with Alex, but then he got a job in Baltimore because they go to Johns Hopkins, and so he finds her someone else to go with, and it's Callie. But plot twist, they don't like each other. But it's actually Callie doesn't like Arizona, and Arizona doesn't like her back only simply because Callie doesn't like her. Yeah. And it turns out that Callie didn't like Arizona because she was a big old gay, and she really liked Arizona, and she didn't like that she liked Arizona. Anyway, they go on this long-ass fucking road trip, and then they fall in love, because of course they do. It's really great. Very well written. Highly recommend. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm real tired. I did not sleep well last night. Yeah. Anyway, the next story is called Begging for Thread, and this is kind of a newish story. And this is set in the 12th season. I almost said the 12th dynasty. I just wrote a paper on ancient Egyptian artifacts, so forgive me. set during the 12th season, and that's like the only context you really need, because I don't know how to describe the story, because it's like, it's not that nothing has happened, because things have happened in the story, but like, I don't know, it's just well written, and it's interesting, and it's just like a retelling of the 12th season without all of the, I mean, there's bullshit in the story, but that's because people, like, the characters engage in bullshitish behavior, so that's like, of course. Ah! Fuck off. Okay. So, basically, yeah. That's begging for thread. Good, good, good. Okay, the next story is Dreaming. And this story is, like, this is an Africa story, but, like, Callie and Arizona have only been dating for, like, a month or something when Arizona gets her grant to go to Africa. So, like, it's basically just, like, telling the Calzona story through that lens, I guess. And, like, they break up when Arizona goes to Africa because, again, they've only been dating a month, but they still have a connection through her entire, like, in this story she's only there for 2 years, so, like, for the entire section of time that Arizona is in Africa, they still have, like, a connection or whatever, even though they're like, I'm not gonna wait for you or whatever the hell. And then Arizona comes back and Callie's with some other bitch, but then, like, of course, and obviously, Callie, like, eventually breaks up with that other bitch to be with Arizona because, duh. But it's, like, really angsty. It's, like, kind of angsty. TBH, haven't read it in a while, but I do remember there was some angst, of course. But I remember I liked it. The next story is called Fates Collide, and this is by the same author who wrote Along for the Ride and The Best Laid Plans. And Fates Collide is probably, I should have put that in my top 13 favorites, honestly, but I didn't, and I don't know why. But I think Fates Collide is my favorite story by that author, because it's just, oh, it makes me so happy. It just makes me so, that's not a helpful time frame. It just makes me so happy because, like, in the story, it's also an alternate universe story, and in it, Arizona goes to UPenn, or Penn State. Shit, which one? The really prestigious one. I think it's UPenn. Because she's, like, hella smart, and she knows everything about everything, and she is really uptight, and she's a cheerleader. She's, like, the head cheerleader, and she's the president of the sorority. She's basically just in charge of everything. And she sells a book to a bookstore in New York City, where Calliope lives, and Calliope lives in New York City because she dropped out of college to pursue her dreams to be on Broadway. And Callie is forced to buy a book at this used bookstore because the owner is crazy. And so she buys a book, and it ends up being a book that Arizona sold there. And so she writes a letter to Arizona, not knowing, like, she didn't know anything about her except for her name was, like, A. Robbins. So she wrote her a letter because the day that she bought the book is the same day she got a call back for a show. And so they basically become pen pals, and then they meet. Well, okay, they become pen pals, and then they, like, oh yeah, they do meet, actually, before they know who each other who they know, you know. They meet, but they don't know that they are who they are. God, that makes... Okay, they meet, and Callie doesn't know that Arizona is Arizona, and Arizona doesn't know that Callie is Callie. There you go. Oh my God! And so that happens. And then they start talking on the phone and Skyping and all of that jazz. And then, like, Callie, like, gets a crush on Arizona, and then Arizona's like, girl, don't, but like, do. And then it's really great, and I really love it. And Arizona in that story is like me to a T. Woo! Addison's in that story as well, so yeah. Okay. The next one is called Finding the Light. Finding the Light is a post-plane crash story, except for like in an alternate universe, kind of, not really, but kind of. In it, Callie, like, the story starts with Callie coming to Seattle Grace to help to do a surgery with Arizona, and Arizona's like a dig hole because she's still adjusting to having one leg, but Callie finds her incredibly charming, and then they start to date. This sounds really boring the way I'm describing it, but it's actually really great because their dialogue is great, and the writing could be better, but you know, the writing could always be better, you know what I mean? Yeah, Finding the Light, that's a good one. It happened one summer. Wow. Okay, this story is also written by the same person who wrote Fates Collide and Along for the Ride and The Best Laid Plans. Okay, this happened one summer. I was like, I held off on reading that story for such a long time because I knew it was going to fuck me up, because stories that are based around like a summer love, they always just like, they get me and I hate it. So, but then I eventually read it and it was so good, but I cried. That story fucked me up. Even though I knew that they were going to be together and everything, that story still fucked me up. And then I sent it to my friend to read, and she read it, and then she was like, why would you do this to me? And I'm like, God, no! Whoo! God, it happened one summer. This story is like an alternate universe where, Arizona has to drop out of college. She was at Northeastern to take over her dad's bar when he dies, and their mother, but she takes it over with Tim and Alex. And Alex is not her brother, but Tim is. And after, yeah, so they have no parents. So they own the bar, and she is, yeah. And Callie is back from Botswana because she did the whole Peace Corps thing. And she comes into Arizona's bar, and they went to high school together, and Arizona had a massive crush on Callie. And Callie knew, but she like was straight back then, so she didn't say anything or do anything about it. And also, Arizona's like a big fat nerd, which apparently like matters to people or some shit like that. But yeah, they eventually get together, and then the end of the summer happens, and Callie has to go to med school, which is across the country, and Arizona can't go across the country because she owns a bar with her brother and her best friend, so read it. It's hot in here. Okay. The next story is called Let It Be. I have so many feelings about this story. Like, I put it on the list because it affected me emotionally, but when I really think about it, fuck this story, because it was like the most stressful. Oh my God, it was just real stressful for like, it was just stressful. In the story, Callie like leaves her entire job and like goes to South America, somewhere in South America. I suck. I never reread this story because it hurt my heart, and I couldn't do it. She goes somewhere in South America or Central America. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. I don't want to be offensive, but I really can't remember. To do charity work, and then she gets in trouble because they think she's doing some shady shit, but actually she's just rich, but she won't say that she's rich, so she gets put in jail, and she gets harassed by this really mean man, and also kind of Arizona, because it's her job to like make sure that people are doing actual charitable work instead of like taking advantage, and so she thinks that Callie's taking advantage because she doesn't know that Callie is rich, so she's using her own, like, personal funds to, like, help people, and so for, like, most of the story, Arizona is, like, going after Callie, but, like, not personally, but, like, they don't meet for such a long time, and then when they do, it's like, woo! The story is stressful. There's a sequel. I don't care for the sequel because it is equally as stressful, but in a different way. So, read it at your own risk, honestly. But I would recommend it, which is why it's on this list. The next story is Midnight Oil Special Assignment. This story, I don't know what made me read this story, but this is an alternate universe story where I think Callie is a police officer or something, or a detective, I want to say, and Arizona flies helicopters for a medical team, and her and Christina are, like, partners, and they do that together, and Arizona and Callie meet somehow. Again, haven't read this story in a really long time. I just know that I really, 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 really liked Arizona's characterization in that story, and, yeah, I would just recommend it. It's, like, short and well-written, but, like, kind of weird, but in a good way, you know what I mean? So, yos. The next one is No Matter of Chance, and the story... The story is an if-then story. As I told you, I really love those stories. And... I don't remember this story that well. I mean, I do, actually, that's a lie. I do remember this story, but it's like just one of those typical if-then stories where Callie and Arizona realize they have feelings for each other, but Callie is straight, so she has a gay panic, and Arizona is like, I don't want children, so I can't date you, but obviously that always gets resolved eventually, but it's really good, and it's well written, and there's drama, of course, because it's Grey's Anatomy stuff, but it's a really good story, and I've reread it like 3 times, and I always enjoy it when I reread it. Yeah, so the next story is called One Man's Trash, and this story only has 8 chapters, and it's not finished. It probably won't ever be finished, but I don't care because I love it. The chapters are really long, and it's really well written, and it's an alternate universe story where Arizona is a doctor, but she, like, is a general wellness doctor, I believe, and she has her own practice, I'm certain, and Callie's life is a whole ass mess. Her ex-girlfriend, Erica Hahn, broke up with her like a year ago, or something like that, and then, like, immediately married some French woman, and Callie works at a coffee shop, and she kind of doesn't know what she's doing with her life, and as a result, she is always kind of fucking up. And one fuck up is that she forgets the keys to the dumpster to take out the coffee trash. So she takes the coffee grounds and throws them in Arizona's garbage can. She doesn't know that it is Arizona's garbage can. It is just a garbage can. And she continues to do this. And eventually, Arizona, who is, like, type A AF, is like, what the fuck? So she takes the coffee out of her trash, and she goes to the coffee shop, and she goes, what the fuck? Why do you keep throwing your coffee grounds in my coffee? What is this? And she basically gets Callie in trouble, even though she doesn't actually confront Callie, because she actually confronts Mark, who owns the coffee shop, and Mark takes the blame for it, but then he chastises Callie for it. So then Callie goes to Arizona's house to apologize, and then they end up having sex, and then they end up in a friends with benefits type of situation, and it's great. Read it. Okay. The next story is over my head, and this story makes me so mad! This story upsets me so much because, listen! The story is set, it's like an Africa story, but like with a twist, because all of them are with a twist, of course. Well, no, most of them are just like Arizona comes back from Africa and Sophia exists, which, duh. So with this twist, before Arizona goes to Africa, her and Callie were trying to have a baby, but they kept miscarrying. So like on their last try, Arizona was like, I'll do it, and then it didn't work. So she broke up with Callie. Well, that's not why she broke up with Callie. She broke up with Callie because their relationship wasn't working anymore. Callie just so desperately wanted a baby, and it was destroying her that it wasn't working, and it was destroying Arizona that Callie seemed to want a baby more than she wanted them as a couple, and so she was like, I can't do this with you anymore, and so she breaks up with her. She goes to Africa, and then while she's in Africa, she finds out she's pregnant, and she tries to tell Callie immediately, but Callie is like a bitch hoe about it, understandably so, and she says all of these mean, hurtful things, and so Arizona just doesn't tell her because, would you? But then in her last trimester, Arizona comes back from Africa. I just have one complaint. Women are not allowed to fly during their last trimester. It's very unsafe, and Arizona Robbins would know that. So, like, that is a point of contention that I have. Like, that's one of the many, but, like, no, she would know better. Anyway, so in her last trimester, Arizona comes back home. However, the plane crashes, because of course it crashes. And, so, yeah, the plane crashes. She gets taken to Seattle Grace. Oh, no, it's Seattle Grace Mercy West at that point, isn't it? Yep. Sorry. And, everyone is mad at her. Everyone is mad at her. They're basically, like, they low-key are blaming the plane crash on Arizona. They're like, well, if she hadn't have been on the plane, it would have crashed. It's a bunch of shit. They're just all mad at her that she didn't tell Callie that she was pregnant. She didn't tell any of them she was pregnant. And then she came back, and the plane crashed, and now her life and her baby's life is in danger. And Teddy is like, all of you can fuck off, because none of this is her fault. She tried, and you all suck, so just shut the fuck up. And, yeah. Teddy Altman, the real MVP. Anyway, Callie's like a bit of a shit for the whole of the story, honestly. And then Arizona, like, the baby is delivered and she's fine, and her name is Daniela, or Danielle, I can't remember, but yeah, and then Arizona wakes up, but she has amnesia, and that's kind of where the story ends, kind of. There's, like, another chapter after she wakes up and has amnesia. It's kind of the end of the story. Like, the story's not finished, but that, like, is, you can see that as, like, a good ending for the story, so, yeah. Now, this last story, until part dos, this is called Permanent Transfer. And if you've been in the Calzona fandom long enough, you know about this story. This used to be my shit. I used to read this all the time. All the time. And it's an alternate universe story where Arizona and Callie, well, not just them. It's like a soccer star universe. They're like professional soccer players, and honestly, I don't feel the need to go in depth into it because you just have to read it. It's like, I loved this story. Like, I think I still do. I just haven't reread it in a really long time. But, like, this was a good one. It was a good one, and I highly recommend go watch. Wow, go watch. Me too. Go read it. Go read it. It's really good. The soccer is, like, it's just so interesting, and it has all of the other characters in it, and they, like, I don't know, it's just the good. Once I fell into a stream and I landed on the fish, and the fish went up my skirt because it thought it was a cave, and I liked the way it felt, so I wore it to church, and the fish flopped out when I got my communion. Is that bad?